So you go into a treatment center, and in 30 days, after you've been in addiction for 10 years, in 30 days, you're cured and everything's perfect in life. Sounds like a good deal, right? Well, it's not the way it works. And a lot of people go through several treatment centers and still have work to do. And that's one of the things we'll talk about today on today's edition of Odyssey House Journals. I'm your host, Randall Carlisle. My co-host is Nicole Slack, and our guest is Dallas Corvallis. So welcome, everybody. You just told me that we met years ago at when you were in one of Odyssey's programs.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
And so how many programs have you gone through?
So that was time number 2 for me in Odyssey House. I'd been there once before back in 2014 and 15. They didn't have all the other facilities at the time. So
Right.
I was just at what they call downtown at the main house there for 11 and a half months. And I completed that successfully. And then I've been to other treatment facilities, I would say. So let's see, I've been to 6 total treatment facilities.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I heard and I don't know if it's a wives' tale or not, but that the average number of treatment facilities you go through, on the average, just for people who then come out with long-term recovery, is 7.
Okay.
Does that sound so?
All right.
So you're close.
I'm right around average then, yeah. If you count the one inside of the county jail here in Salt Lake City, then I guess that would be 7. Counting the CATS program that the Odyssey House runs. It wasn't Odyssey House run at the point.
Right.
Yeah. So if you count that, then I'm right at average.
Well, way to go.
Yeah, good to go.
Jeez.
Right on par.
And why is that? A lot of people say, well, I mean, okay, if it worked your 7th time, why didn't it work your 2nd time? Why is that?
I would say a lot of times we're just in a place where we're maybe not ready. We're forced to go through the courts, or we are in a place where we think that, if we just do, like you said, a 30 days somewhere or 60 days somewhere, then we're good to go after that and we're healed. And it's that's not the case. It's never been the case for me. So, You
when you went through the program, you went through with people who had been in there several times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she went through the program too. Mm-hmm. So, and what did they? Because it seems like people have a different attitude each time they go through a program.
I think everyone just has to have the aha moment, and if you don't have it, then you're not done. So I don't know what makes it happen, but
I wish we had some magic formula and just say, okay, it worked.
This will be your time. Yeah. No, I saw people that went through it angry and then came back a few months later and were at peace that time and they were ready, and just, I don't know. Everyone has to have their moment, I think. Yeah. I guess they call it rock bottom, but I don't know. I was hanging out at rock bottom for a long time.
Yeah. And then somebody said the other day that I thought I was at rock bottom, but then I found an even rockier bottom. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I was able to find a deeper rock bottom each time, even when I thought there's no way it could get worse, from almost losing my leg. Like I absolutely should have lost my leg due to an infection, due to my addiction. And that wasn't enough. Like I had to go to wound care appointments for 7 months straight, and they debride it and all that after major surgeries and stuff. And I still have, my whole leg is not the same. It's all discolored and stuff where the bacteria ate away all my skin and flesh. And a month after that was done, a month later, this knee got that same MRSA infection in it. And I went to the hospital and I think it was Rachel came and saw me there, got me over to Odyssey House for my 3rd time, back during the COVID times. And I ended up having a PICC line in.
Okay.
And I ended up leaving there.
With the PICC line?
With the PICC line in, which is obviously I couldn't be out there with it because I was a high risk to have a PICC line in and for drugs. And I ended up, unfortunately, doing that. And so there was a deeper rock bottom that I found. I ended up homeless again, for my 4th time. And
what's your background? Why what with addiction and when it started and how you've had to deal with it?
Yeah, so I'd say it started, in all honesty, I was at this big denial for such a long time, and I blamed it on this and that, and never told the truth, and actually started with meth and other substances when I was 15.
Really?
About 15 years old. I'm not sure why. I just always had that experimental mindset, and like I wanted to try this. I know that I was seeking to escape a lot of just anger and pain that I felt inside. And so I would just seek substances for that reason. I then was able to get away from alcohol and some of the substances and go to college and play a college sport.
Really?
Played basketball in college. I was pre-med, academic All-American 2 years in a row. My junior and senior year, I was applying for medical school. And then I just started down a road of, cocaine. And then that, eventually led me to rehab. And then I eventually got into heroin and then methamphetamine. But, I had all these excuses. Like I would tell people, oh, well, I was in a rollover car accident where I fractured my C3 vertebrae, which happened. And then that's how I got hooked on opiates. And I would leave out all that other stuff that really was the real truth. Was my real truth. And so, I tried leaving states. I went to Wyoming, and that was my last stint in jail and everything. And I had my aha moment. And that's what, it really led me to a place where I had to surrender. Like I literally I was looking at prison here. I was on the run from Utah County, Salt Lake County, APMP, and up there. I had already been put on probation up there and APMP up there, and I still went on the run and hit a jackpot at the casino up there in Evanston and didn't have the ID to provide, so I tried to use my buddy's ID, and then they called the cops, obviously, and that's how I got arrested for my very last time I've ever been to jail. And I just was in there, and I just was going to prison, and I knew that, and I prayed, and I've never been one to really like big believer in higher powers and God and all those things, and it's something that I really have leaned on through my recovery is I pray, and that keeps me in a place of gratitude, and honestly, being grateful every day is what's helped keep me sober and clean, because it reminds me of how much I have to be thankful for. And I know that I didn't do it all myself. It's not possible. Like I've always tried to will myself into recovery and will myself into staying sober. And that's never worked.
It's tough to do.
Yeah. I can't do that on my own. So
I always looked, I've never been a very religious person, and my sponsor said, try praying in the morning and praying in the evening. And if you don't know who or what or whatever you're praying to, just think about your loved ones and think some good thoughts for them, and do it for a couple of minutes. Okay. And his conclusion, and I would agree, because I still don't know whether I'm sure there's something greater than us, but I don't know what it is. Was that it's a form of meditation. I mean, you're focusing on, you call it prayer if you want, but it is meditation.
It's a good time to sit, think, focus. I'm not religious at all. I'm very much atheist, and I find that people that pray or whatever, it's a really good time, however that is, and if there's a higher power and if that's what they believe in, but they're still taking that moment to think about something and find a peace and to really consider things. And I think that's never a bad thing.
Yeah, no. Well, Dallas, people watching or listening to this would say, if you were pre-med and obviously you were doing well, why would you be so stupid as to screw up your life with drugs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would your answer be? I mean, because a lot of people sort of watch these podcasts or listen to them out of curiosity. Some of them have addicted loved ones and they want to hopefully get some answers. But a lot of people just are curious about drug addiction.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to think back on why I would choose to get involved with, cocaine and, go from using it a couple times recreationally with some guys I ran into, when we were out hanging out at the bar or whatever, to, I made a quick leap into just IV cocaine use, like within, probably 2 months. And I think, honestly, I had a really hard time. It's kind of weird because I have a hard time with failure and dealing with that, and also success and allowing myself to be successful and happy. I just always struggled with that. So I was applying for medical school. I didn't get in my first time around. I didn't do great on my MCATs. I was extremely disappointed, and I just felt like my whole life was crumbling when I didn't get in. And also I had a really hard time with letting go of the past. I had a hard time with being accountable and responsibilities, as weird as that sounds. So when I didn't get in and I was forced to get a legitimate job at least in that science field, I just didn't manage it well. I had a hard time just kind of moving forward with my life. I was living in nostalgia at all times. And so I basically didn't want to be responsible and take on any responsibility in life. And so I just started partying, and things fell apart really fast. So it's just interesting that I would choose to do that. And I had so many opportunities to stop. Loved ones, everything, they all encouraged me to stop. They tried to get me help. I went to my first treatment center in 2012, did fairly well, did their sober living, got a sponsor, did all the things that, I was encouraged to do or suggested of me. I prayed, but none of it felt genuine. Looking back on it, none of it was genuine. I feel like I was always doing it to appease my family, like parents, loved ones, to make them happy, and
going through the motions.
And I didn't take all of the suggestions. I got into an early relationship in recovery, and
With somebody else in recovery?
right, yeah, so,
Mistake.
yeah. So I did that pretty much every single time I got out of treatment. So we're in treatment, actually.
Why do you think they say don't date somebody from an AA meeting, or don't date somebody from the recovery center for at least a year or something like that?
And that would be something that I would really advise everybody do, because you can follow that guideline if you can. Because I'll give you a story. When I met you when I was in the Lighthouse back in 2018, 19, I met a female there, another client, and we started passing notes, and then it went further. And then I got out, I completed that part, and I would transfer it out to outpatient with another treatment facility. And she left within 2 weeks to come be with me. And she's no longer with us. She's passed away. And so
From an overdose?
yeah. And I ended up saving her life the first time in a hotel room, and she was in the hospital coma and all that. And just a bunch of stuff came with it. And then within another year or so, she's since passed away, unfortunately. Wow. So, and, there's some of that guilt that you carry, because, who knows if we wouldn't have engaged in that relationship, she may not have left, and she might have gotten some of the help that some more of the help she needed, And so it's a very serious thing. I think it's, not only has it taken me back out of, recovery, taken me back into using on many occasions, but it really is legitimately life or death,
Yeah.
with anything in addiction.
And obviously you were pre-med, and you got to the point where was it because of you were doing IV injections in your legs, or why did you get the...
So no, at the time, oddly enough, after that, and this is going to sound, but after that ate away the skin and emulsified a lot of the fat here. It exposed the veins. And so I didn't really start doing IV until after that. So in my legs, at least.
Tell me, how did your legs get so bad?
It's just not reusing syringes. They didn't have the, the
Syringe exchange
the needle exchange program. And so, just doing that, or at least I didn't know about it. I'm sure they had some form of it, but I didn't know about it. And just using those, and they can travel. It travels. Yeah. And then obviously where you have poor circulation, it's going to definitely, the bacteria and stuff isn't going to be able to be, expelled from your body. Your lymph nodes and stuff don't carry that out as easily, where you have slower circulation, like down in your extremities or legs, especially because it has to travel back up.
So where are you at now?
So now in my life, so I got out of jail in Wyoming with nothing but the clothes on my back. And, I didn't know anybody up there. I had nobody. My family wasn't speaking to me and at the time, and I wasn't going to reach out to them and ask them for help for the, who knows, 25th, 50th time, who knows, and, let them, or even ask them to enable me because, they were done. And I didn't want to do that to them because I wasn't sure I was going to get over the hump or anything like that. So I got out of there with the clothes on my back, went straight to a few businesses, got a job for $11 an hour, reached out to the church, got some help for 2 weeks to get a motel, and worked. And I took ownership of my life. Really was the biggest thing. Was I just started praying and I took ownership of my life. And I'm now living here in West Jordan. I moved back down here to be closer to my family who's back in my life. I got married. I have a baby on the way in September.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have 4 stepdaughters. And we bought a house. I have a really good job. I really just felt like the only piece missing in my life was I really wanted to give back to the recovery community because I'm telling you that's the most important thing to me. Like, right now, I think in my recovery would be to give back because so many people helped me. It makes me emotional. So many people touched my life, and I would not be here if it wasn't for them. I would have given up if it wasn't for Odyssey House mainly,
Wow.
They did so much for me. So, yeah.
It's amazing. People, I think people on the outside it's not just Odyssey House, but treatment centers, I mean, some of them are just in it for the money, the for-profit centers.
Yeah.
And they create a lot of profit and they charge a ridiculous amount of money per treatment. But the nonprofit treatment centers, I would say almost everybody I've ever met who works in them cares about our clients. Mm-hmm. It's not just a job. It's like we want you to succeed. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that? I mean, you obviously work with our clients so closely, and I can see that you care.
Yeah. If someone wouldn't have done that for me, I wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. And the silly thing everyone says, if I can just help one person, then I've done enough. And if I can help someone feel better about one little thing that, something happening in treatment and it keeps them there and they live, like,
yeah,
how amazing is that?
Yeah.
So if every day anything that even seems small to me isn't small to them. So I don't know. Someone did it for me. Someone cared about me. Someone listened to me. So I want to do that for someone else.
It's cool that you want to give back. How are you doing that? Are you communicating with?
I've made a call to Callie. I reached out to Callie and just asked her, hey, do you know what can I do to help? Do you want me to speak somewhere? Do you want me to go visit what can I do to help? Like, I just want to help.
Great.
Give back because, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say names that are in the facility. Not clients, but I can see it. Okay. So like Kim, I saw Kim out here just now, and like she was a huge part of my first time I was in Odyssey House. Huge part of my recovery. She was tough love kind of person, but she cares.
Yes.
Amazing person. Like, I wouldn't be here. Like, Cheryl was my therapist when I was in, like before she, wow. Like, she was so perfect for me. Like, she really didn't take any of my crap, and I was good at manipulating and stuff like that. And so she didn't let me do
all addicts are.
Heather, so all those, all of them were very.
And see, that's
impactful
cool
for me.
that you remember them all, and they meant a lot to you.
And just because you didn't recover right then doesn't mean they didn't have a profound impact.
Exactly. They changed me as a person. Like that, especially that initial experience at Odyssey House for that 11 months. While I may have not got it right away, that it definitely changed me as a person and opened my mind, to the possibility of being different and not thinking I was better than other people. And because I was pre-med smart, all that, I did carry this air of arrogance, and that's not the person I want to be, because that makes it really difficult to connect with people. And I want to connect with as many people as possible. And I really feel like I have a lot of experiences through my life, from that stuff with college and to being homeless for probably a total of close to 4 years in the streets.
No, streets.
Yeah, we're not talking like homeless like in a hotel hopping, which is homeless, but I'm talking like on the streets, making camps, building a tree house, like that kind of homeless. Can't feel my feet and my fingers and my toes and stuff at night. Wake up, wow, just lips are purple and blue because you're sleeping in a wet sleeping bag under a tarp behind a freeway and whatever. So
I was thinking, think of the reverse. When you mention names like Kim or Cheryl, people like that, think of how they feel when they hear you say something like this, and how rewarding it is.
Yeah. That's got to be, and I feel like I needed to really work on myself to get to a place where I could help other people, and so hopefully I'll do that. However, whatever that looks like, whether it's, doing drives for clothing and stuff like that, leading any of those things, any kind of volunteer project, whatever I can do. A good friend of mine does a program also for different, it's called Soap to Hope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's an amazing friend of mine, and yeah, I'm really proud of her, and I'd like to do something like that even, So.
There's a whole bunch because we have a lot of people watching and listening from around the world and around the country, not just in Utah. And I venture to say, because I've worked in my old job on TV, I've worked in a lot of different states, and Utah, or especially Salt Lake City, has an awful lot of programs of nonprofits, especially to help people. Soap to Hope is a great one, and they started out just on North Temple, which is the area where prostitutes and drug addiction and everything flourishes. And they started out helping women who were being trafficked, and they just started out, and then they got to be known, and it spread and it grew. Odyssey House started out 50 some years ago at just one house, and now it's a huge organization. It's
amazing,
and if you are homeless, you've got to admit there are places to go to get free food or free clothes if you need it. You can go down to St. Vincent de Paul or the Wiegand Center. Then there's and then we have 3 homeless resource centers. And other people opening up when it's cold, really cold outside.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of resources like that. And more. So from the first time I was homeless till the last time I was homeless, just the resources had at least, 10 times as many resources. And so, and I would just say also that there aren't very many in Wyoming. That was a whole different ballgame, and definitely I think Utah is, has to be one of the leaders in having resources for both homeless and addiction recovery services.
So what's your future look like?
My future?
Don't you?
I have a baby on the way. So I got sleepless nights. Just really want to be involved in recovery,
for you.
That's something I haven't been as involved, as maybe I should be in the past year or so. The initial year and a half or 2, I was, really involved, but not for the past year or so. And so I really want to stay connected, and stay grounded. And I think there is a lot of, it's really powerful when you can help someone else, it helps you at least as much or more when you do something to help. And I agree. I think that's where, like, you know, it's going to help keep me, you know, focused on what I'm doing with my life.
And you said your parents had cut you off, and it was like, you're out of our lives.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And now?
Yeah. So my brother's in law enforcement. We probably spoke twice in maybe 4 or 5, 6 years. And so he actually is a special agent to the Attorney General and does human trafficking. So,
okay.
Yeah. So he's got an amazing job and one of the best people I've ever, you know, come across. He was my best friend and we just hadn't spoke. I wasn't involved in his life. And now, like, we talk at least once a week or twice a week, and we meet. You know, we have a scheduled plan. You know, we go get wings every other weekend, and we have all this stuff we do. We have, you know, we have a tradition with Christmas now. Me and my brother established, and my parents, you know, I talk to my mom or my dad at least every day.
Cool.
Yep. They, you know, are an integral part of my life. I wouldn't be here without them. You know, they help us so much with having all the kids and stuff running around. And so, yeah, they are everything. Like, they seriously, my dad is my role model. You know, I want to be just like him. He has, you know, every single quality that I think a man should have in this world. And so, you know, I really look up to him. And my mom, you know, has been, like, it was just me and her for quite some time, you know, when I was growing up. So she is the most hardworking, incredibly kind, loving, patient person in the world. And I'm grateful to have her in my life because she's an amazing influence on me and my girls. So,
and they at some point exhibited tough love when you were screwing up.
Yeah. So I would recommend anybody who is dealing with loved ones in addiction. I would say, if I may, I would say get involved with some of that stuff, that Al-Anon and stuff like that. Go to some groups, find some groups, because they will help you stop enabling and help you, you know, deal with the grief and pain that comes along with having someone struggling with addiction, or if you've lost somebody in addiction. My mom has made lifelong friends in those groups, and they've helped her through tough times. And she's done the same for them, and they are still there for each other now. I mean, if she didn't go to those, find a way to stop enabling me because she couldn't stop, and I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't be here today. 100%, I would be dead. If she would have kept enabling me, I would be dead.
Thank goodness for boundaries.
Yeah,
right.
She set some boundaries and stuck to them. You know, it took her a couple of attempts, but she did it.
We're out of time, and the cool thing is that technically you have 7 programs and you're succeeding right now. So you're just the normal average for workforce around the country.
Take it. I'll take it.
Thank you for joining us and sharing your story. Thank you, Nicole. Good to see you again.
You too.
And thank you for watching or listening to another edition of Odyssey House Journals.